In 1982, an officer and a gentleman showed young recruits fighting to survive brutal training, and the actors behind them became stars almost overnight. But decades later, their real lives took far darker turns. Some rose to lasting fame, others vanished from Hollywood, and a few faced tragic endings. Now, let's see how the cast changed from then to now in 2026. Louis Gossett Jr. as Gunnery Sergeant, Emil Foley. Louis Gossett Jr. was born on May 27, 1936, in Brooklyn, New York, United States. At 46 years old, he played Gunnery Sergeant Emil Foley, the brutally strict drill instructor who pushed recruits to their breaking point in An Officer and a Gentleman. The performance stunned audiences and earned him the Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor, making him the first black actor to win in that category. That fierce authority came from a childhood shaped by hardship. Gossett grew up in a poor Brooklyn neighborhood after his father left the family, leaving his mother to work long hours as a domestic worker. As a child, he suffered from polio, enduring physical pain and isolation while other children avoided him. The struggle forced him to grow stronger emotionally. He later appeared in powerful roles like the Emmy-winning miniseries Roots and the science fiction film Enemy Mine. Success did not bring peace at home. Gossett married Hattie Glasgow, but the marriage collapsed almost immediately and was annulled. His second marriage to Christina Mangosing in 1973 brought the birth of his son, Sati, yet it ended in divorce just 2 years later. His third marriage to Cindy James Reese in 1987 seemed promising, and the couple adopted a son, Sharon, but that relationship also ended in divorce in 1992. Gossett later admitted that alcohol and drug addiction during the height of his fame created enormous strain in his personal life and damaged several relationships. Serious health crises followed him for decades. During the 1990s, he developed a mysterious illness that weakened him so badly a doctor once told him he might have only 6 months to live. In 2001, he discovered that toxic mold inside his Malibu home had been slowly poisoning him. Years later, another shock arrived when he was diagnosed with prostate cancer in 2010. He fought through treatment and recovered, only to face another frightening hospitalization with COVID-19 in 2020. Louis Gossett Jr. died on March 29, 2024, at the age of 87 in Santa Monica, California. The official cause was chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, with heart failure and atrial fibrillation contributing to his death. According to his death certificate, he was cremated after his passing. After more than 60 years in film and television, including historic work in Roots and his Oscar-winning role in An Officer and a Gentleman, Gossett left behind a legacy of groundbreaking performances and an estimated net worth of around $5 million. Robert Loggia as Byron Mayo. Robert Loggia was born on January 3, 1930 in Staten Island, New York, United States. At 52 years old, he played Byron Mayo, Zach Mayo's troubled alcoholic father whose bitterness shaped his son's painful past in An Officer and a Gentleman. The performance added emotional depth to the film's story and showed Loggia's ability to portray deeply flawed characters. Loggia's understanding of harsh family dynamics began in childhood. He grew up in a poor Italian immigrant household where his father worked as a shoemaker and arguments at home were common. Witnessing tension and conflict in his family left a lasting mark on him. Determined to escape that environment, Loggia pursued acting and eventually built a career that included powerful roles in films like Scarface, 1983, and Big, 1988. His personal life carried both long commitments and painful endings. Loggia married Marjorie Sloan in 1954, and the couple had 3 children together. After nearly 3 decades, the marriage ended in divorce in 1981, a difficult separation that came during the height of his career. The following year, he married Audrey O'Brien, who remained by his side for the rest of his life. Their relationship brought stability after years of personal turbulence, while Loggia continued appearing in films like Jagged Edge, 1985. In his later years, Loggia faced a devastating health battle. Around 2010, he was diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease, a condition that gradually robbed him of memory and independence. Over the next 5 years, the illness progressed steadily, forcing him to withdraw from public life while his family cared for him privately. Robert Loggia died on December 4, 2015, at the age of 85 at his home in the Brentwood neighborhood of Los Angeles due to complications from Alzheimer's disease. He was laid to rest at Westwood Memorial Park Cemetery, the resting place of many Hollywood legends. After a career spanning more than 6 decades in film and television, his estimated net worth at the time of his death was about $10 million, built from memorable performances. Richard Gere as Zach Mayo. Richard Gere was born on August 31, 1949, in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, United States. At 33 years old, he played Zach Mayo, the fiercely determined naval aviation trainee and an officer and a gentleman. The performance became one of the emotional pillars of the film and pushed Gere into the highest level of Hollywood fame almost overnight. That determination had deep roots. Gere grew up in a strict Methodist household and received difficult approval from his father, Homer Gere, for acting. His mother, Doris, tried to keep peace in the home, but tension was always present. As a teenager, he focused on music and school, yet shocked his family by leaving the University of Massachusetts to pursue acting. The risky decision forced him into a harsh New York theater scene, shaping the toughness audiences later saw in films like American Gigolo and eventually Pretty Woman. Fame brought chaos into his relationships. Gere dated several famous women through the 1970s and 1980s, but his marriage to supermodel Cindy Crawford in 1991 became one of the most talked-about celebrity relationships in the world. The glamorous image hid serious strain. Constant media attention and demanding careers created tension that ended the marriage in 1995. Years later, he married actress Carrie Lowell in 2002 and had a son, Homer James Jigme Gere. The relationship lasted more than a decade, but collapsed in 2013, followed by a bitter divorce that dragged through court battles for years over money and property. In 2018, Gere married Spanish activist Alejandra Silva, hoping finally to find stability after decades of public heartbreak. Health fears suddenly entered his life decades later. In February 2023, while vacationing with his family in Mexico, Gere developed a severe case of pneumonia and had to be hospitalized. The illness alarmed fans because the once unstoppable Hollywood star was suddenly facing a serious medical emergency at an older age. After treatment, he recovered. By 2026, Richard Gere is 77 years old and still appears occasionally in films while spending much of his time on humanitarian work and Buddhist activism. Decades of films, business ventures, and real estate investments have given him an estimated net worth of about $120 million. Lisa Blount as Lynette Pomeroy. Lisa Blount was born on July 1, 1957, in Fayetteville, Arkansas, United States. At 25 years old, she played Lynette Pomeroy, Paula's cynical friend whose manipulation leads to the devastating tragedy of Sid Worley in An Officer and a Gentleman. Her performance shocked audiences and earned her major attention as one of the film's most emotionally unsettling characters. That intensity grew from a restless childhood. Blount grew up in rural Arkansas in a struggling family that moved frequently, forcing her to change schools again and again while trying to fit in. The instability created constant stress and pushed her to grow independent early. At just 19, she landed a lead role in September 30th, 1977, standing out even among experienced actors, and years later her sharp performance in An Officer and a Gentleman proved she could command attention on screen. Her personal life moved through both heartbreak and stability. In 1982, she married cinematographer Christopher Tufte, but the marriage eventually collapsed and ended in divorce. Years later, she found lasting support with actor and director Ray McKinnon, whom she married in 1998. Their partnership extended beyond marriage into filmmaking. Together, they created the short film The Accountant, 2001, which won the Academy Award for Best Live-Action Short Film, turning one of the most difficult periods of her life into a creative triumph. Behind the success, Blount fought a long and exhausting medical battle. She suffered from idiopathic thrombocytopenic purpura, ATP, a rare blood disorder that attacks the body's platelets and can cause dangerous bleeding. The illness lasted 17 years, gradually weakening her health while she continued working in film and television, including projects like Crystal, 2004. As her condition worsened, she and McKinnon moved back to Arkansas so she could live closer to home while continuing smaller creative projects. Lisa Blount died on October 25, 2010, at the age of 53 at her home in Little Rock, Arkansas. Her death followed years of struggle with the rare blood disorder that had slowly damaged her health. Just weeks earlier, she had been inducted into the Arkansas Entertainers Hall of Fame, making the recognition tragically close to the end of her life. She was buried at Cedar Grove Cemetery in Floral, Arkansas, and at the time of her death, her estimated net worth was about $1 million. Debra Winger as Paula Pokrivki. Debra Winger was born on May 16, 1955, in Cleveland Heights, Ohio, United States. At 27 years old, she played Paula Pokrivki, the tough factory worker whose love challenges Zach Mayo in An Officer and a Gentleman. Her emotional performance became one of the film's most powerful elements and earned her an Academy Award nomination. Her strength came from surviving a terrifying moment in youth. At 17, she suffered a catastrophic car accident that caused a brain hemorrhage, temporary blindness, and partial paralysis. Doctors warned recovery could take months or years. The long rehabilitation pushed her into severe emotional distress, but surviving the trauma gave her the raw intensity later seen in performances like Terms of Endearment and Shadowlands. Her personal life also carried heavy emotional conflict. Winger dated several high-profile figures before marrying actor Timothy Hutton in 1986. The couple welcomed a son, Noah Hutton, but the marriage collapsed only 4 years later. The divorce in 1990 was painful and public, leaving Winger deeply hurt. She later found more stability with actor and director Arliss Howard, whom she married in 1996 after meeting during the production of Wilder Napalm. Even with a happier second marriage, Winger often admitted that the emotional toll of Hollywood relationships had left lasting scars. Another shock arrived in 2009 when Winger was diagnosed with cervical cancer. The diagnosis forced her to step away from work and face a frightening medical fight. Treatment was successful, but the experience confirmed her decision to avoid the constant stress of Hollywood. After years of intense fame and conflict, she chose to work less and protect her personal life. By 2026, Debra Winger is 71 years old and still appears occasionally in film and television projects, though she prefers a quieter life away from the spotlight. After decades in the entertainment industry, her estimated net worth is around $20 million, built from acting, producing, and a career shaped by survival and resilience. Victor French as Joe Pokrivki. Victor French was born on December 4, 1934, in Santa Barbara, California, United States. At 48 years old, he played Joe Pokrivki, Paula's bitter father, whose harsh personality reflects the difficult lives of working families in An Officer and a Gentleman. The role strengthened the film's emotional tension and showed the painful realities behind many characters' struggles. French grew up in a difficult environment despite being surrounded by Hollywood. His father, Ted French, worked as a stuntman, but the family lived with constant financial pressure. The unstable lifestyle of stunt work meant money was unpredictable and home life often tense. Young Victor spent much of his childhood watching the rough side of the film industry while trying to escape poverty. He eventually followed his father into acting and stunt work before building a reputation through television westerns and later popular shows like Little House on the Prairie. His personal life experienced both long commitments and painful endings. French married Judith Schenz in 1959, and the couple had 2 daughters and a son during their long marriage. After 16 years together, the relationship ended in divorce in 1975. The following year, he married actress Julie Cobb, but that marriage lasted only 2 years. Health problems arrived suddenly and tragically. French had been a heavy smoker for many years, and in early 1989, doctors diagnosed him with lung cancer. The illness progressed quickly. At the time, he was still working on Highway to Heaven, trying to continue filming despite worsening health. Victor French died on June 15, 1989, at the age of 54 at Sherman Oaks Community Hospital in Los Angeles, only 3 months after the cancer diagnosis. He was later honored in the Hall of Great Western Performers at the National Cowboy and Western Heritage Museum, recognizing his long contribution to television westerns. At the time of his death, his estimated net worth was about $2 million, built from decades of acting in film and television. David Keith as Sid Worley. David Keith was born on May 8, 1954, in Knoxville, Tennessee, United States. At 28 years old, he played Sid Worley, Zach Mayo's troubled friend, whose tragic fate becomes one of the film's most heartbreaking moments in An Officer and a Gentleman. The role shocked audiences and remains one of the most emotionally devastating scenes in the film. The vulnerability he brought to Sid Worley reflected struggles from his early life. Keith grew up in a strict Baptist household where his father worked as a minister, and the pressure of religion and expectations weighed heavily on him as a teenager. He later admitted that he turned to alcohol at a young age, trying to escape emotional stress and confusion. Acting became his way out. After studying theater at the University of Tennessee, he slowly built a career that included films like Firestarter with Drew Barrymore and later appearances in projects such as Daredevil. His personal life carried its own emotional turns. Keith eventually married Nancy Clark, a real estate agent, in 2000, and they raised 2 children together, Presley and Coulter. For years, the marriage appeared stable, offering him the family life he had struggled to find earlier. However, the relationship ended in divorce in 2016, a quiet but painful split after more than a decade together. During these years, Keith also devoted energy to activism, working with organizations that pushed for stronger laws protecting children from sexual predators. By 2026, David Keith is 72 years old and continues working behind the camera as a director and producer while occasionally appearing in film projects. After decades in the entertainment industry, his estimated net worth is around $2 million, built through acting, directing, and independent film production. Elizabeth Rogers as Betty Worley. Elizabeth Rogers was born on May 18, 1934, in Austin, Texas, United States. At 48 years old, she played Betty Worley, the grieving mother of Sid Worley, whose emotional presence deepened the tragic tone of An Officer and a Gentleman. Though a smaller role, it reinforced the devastating human consequences behind the film's story. Her early life was shaped by hardship. Rogers grew up in a poor family and began working at a young age to help support herself. The struggle pushed her toward acting, where she discovered a path that offered both escape and opportunity. She gradually built a career through television appearances and film roles, including projects like Star Trek and the disaster film The Towering Inferno, which brought her steady recognition in Hollywood. Her personal life remained far quieter than many actors around her. Rogers married Eric L. Nelson in 1968, and the couple maintained a long marriage while raising 1 child. Friends often described their relationship as deeply private, with the pair living a secluded life in the Los Angeles area, even while Rogers continued appearing in television productions. In her later years, Rogers faced serious health challenges. She suffered multiple strokes and also battled lung cancer, conditions that gradually weakened her health and forced her to withdraw from acting and public appearances. Elizabeth Rogers died on November 6, 2004, at the age of 70 in Tarzana, California. Her death followed complications from strokes and lung cancer after years of declining health. At the time of her death, her estimated net worth was about $1 million, built from decades of work in film and television. Lisa Eilbacher as Casey Seeger. Lisa Eilbacher was born on May 5, 1956, in Dhahran, Saudi Arabia. At 26 years old, she played Casey Seeger, one of the determined female trainees struggling to survive the brutal training program in An Officer and a Gentleman. Her character added realism to the film's intense military environment and showed that the training pushed everyone, not just the men. Her early life was filled with constant disruption. Her father worked as an oil engineer, forcing the family to move repeatedly across countries and cities. Each move meant a new school, new classmates, and the pressure of starting over again. Acting eventually became her anchor. She began appearing in television roles as a teenager, and later gained wider attention with films like Beverly Hills Cop, 1984, where she starred alongside Eddie Murphy. Her personal life took a calmer path compared with many Hollywood careers. In 1988, she married director and photographer Bradford May, and the relationship remained stable for decades. While many actors chased constant publicity, Eilbacher gradually stepped away from the spotlight during the 1990s, choosing a quieter life with her husband rather than the chaos of Hollywood fame. By 2026, Lisa Eilbacher is 70 years old and lives a private life largely away from Hollywood, rarely appearing in public interviews or film projects. After years of acting and television work earlier in her career, her estimated net worth is around $2 million, reflecting a career that stepped away from fame but left a lasting impression. Tony Plana as Emiliano della Sera. Tony Plana was born on April 19, 1952, in Havana, Cuba. At 30 years old, he played Emiliano della Sera, one of the determined aviation trainees struggling through the brutal training program in An Officer and a Gentleman. Though a smaller role, it helped introduce Plana to American film audiences. The determination he showed on screen reflected a difficult childhood. In 1960, his family fled Cuba after the revolution and arrived in the United States as refugees with little money. The young Plana suddenly faced a new language, a new culture, and the pressure of fitting into American schools while his family struggled financially. Acting became his way to adapt and express himself. Years later, he appeared in films like JFK and Three Amigos, gradually building a steady career that would span decades. His personal life became far more stable than the uncertain childhood he survived. In 1988, he married actress Ada Maris, and the couple built a lasting partnership while raising two children, Isabel Plana and Alejandro Plana. While continuing to appear in films and television, Plana reached a new level of recognition with the hit series Ugly Betty. Alongside acting in projects such as The Young Pope and Mayans MC, he spent years directing theater productions and helping young actors from minority communities develop their craft. By 2026, Tony Plana is 74 years old and continues teaching acting while occasionally appearing in film and television projects. Beyond roles in Ugly Betty, JFK, and many other productions, he is also respected as a director and mentor in theater and education programs. After decades of work across film, television, and stage, his estimated net worth is around $4 million. David Caruso as Topper Daniels. David Caruso was born on January 7, 1956, in Forest Hills, New York, United States. At 26 years old, he played Topper Daniels, one of the competitive officer candidates in An Officer and a Gentleman. Though a supporting role, it became an early step in the career of an actor who would later dominate television crime dramas. The intensity he brought to his characters came from a turbulent childhood. Caruso's parents separated when he was young, leaving his mother to raise him alone in Queens. Money was tight, and he worked small jobs while growing up, developing a tough independence early in life. Acting eventually became his path forward. After small film roles in the 1980s, His career exploded when he starred in the hit police series NYPD Blue, earning an Emmy Award, and later when he became internationally famous as Horatio Kane in the long-running series CSI Miami. His personal life often drew headlines. Caruso first married Cherry Moggins in 1979, but the marriage ended in divorce in 1984. He later married actress Rachel Ticotin in 1984, and the couple had a daughter, Greta Caruso, before divorcing in 1987. Years later, he had two more children, Marquez and Paloma, with former partner Liza Marquez, but the relationship ended in legal conflict when she filed a lawsuit accusing him of financial and emotional misconduct. The drama surrounding his relationships kept his private life under constant public scrutiny. After the early success of NYPD Blue, he left the show suddenly during contract disputes, a decision that shocked Hollywood and damaged his reputation for several years. Only later did he rebuild his image with the massive success of CSI Miami, where his calm and commanding portrayal of Horatio Kane became one of the most recognizable characters on television. By 2026, David Caruso is 70 years old and has largely retired from acting after the conclusion of CS1 Miami. He now lives a quieter life away from the entertainment industry, rarely appearing in public interviews. After decades in television and film, his estimated net worth stands at around $35 million, built primarily from his long run as one of television's most recognizable crime drama stars. Decades have passed, and the lives of the An Officer and a Gentleman cast reveal stories far more dramatic than the film itself: triumph, heartbreak, illness, and unforgettable legacies. Which cast member's journey surprised you the most? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoy stories about classic Hollywood stars then and now, don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more.